My name is Gabriel. This is what I'm going to cover, yeah? A very quick caveat, basically it says that these are the views of myself and the team that conducted a particular study that I'll be talking about the results this morning, yeah? The findings this morning. And if you want to find out more, I actually have a document, QR code at the end, if you can scan, and then you can read up more about this particular study. Yeah, but if you want to use it for any other purposes, just write into us, no problem, okay? So maybe I'll start off with the first question. Would Singaporeans readily help? Actually, what do you think? Singaporeans helpful or not? Yes? There's a result. Anybody says, I'm not so sure, depends. See how kind of response, or Singaporeans not helpful. Yeah? Would Singaporeans help this woman? I'm going to show you a very quick 2-minute video. Yeah? It's a picture of this woman carrying a lot of shopping grocery bags, and see whether anybody helps. What do you think? Do you think people will help? Do you think people will help? We will see, okay? It's not by me, I didn't do the video, it's by Rice Media. I thought it was really interesting, so let's watch whether...
Helping me carry some of these across the bridge? Yeah. Can you help me carry across the bridge?
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much. Why do you think it's so hard to get Singaporeans to help?
You don't ask, they don't help. If you ask, I think they will help.
Doesn't look heavy enough.
Just too busy for other stuff.
Too busy with other stuff. People here. People don't bother. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you.
Okay, so we saw 3 categories, right? The first group of people just walk past, yeah? Second group of people will help if they are asked, yeah? And then when you heard the narratives, right, what they were saying, yeah, sometimes people too busy, rushing, don't know, and not heavy enough, yeah? So, and then there will be a third group that will automatically help, yeah? But of course, this is just grocery bags, eh? What about critical incidents where the stakes are higher? Will people be more readily avail themselves to help? Yeah, we saw this many years ago, 2015. This man that was trapped under a lorry, and then this is a video. So I won't go to the video, but you see people just automatically coming up to help to shift the lorry, yeah, to help the man that was trapped underneath. Of course, this is very different from carrying grocery bags. This is a high stakes critical incident, yeah? You see people coming up. We see, of course, in more recent years, pre-COVID, people, not pre-COVID, COVID times, where people came up and were helping. I think we saw a fair bit of that, right? Maybe helping to pack stuff. We see hand sanitizers appearing in your lifts, lobbies, right? Free masks popping up, so on and so forth. So people extend ways of helping also. But it's not always the case, yeah? It's not always the case. Sometimes, and this study, all the way, this newspaper report, not in Singapore, in the US, all the way in the 1960s, And this was the study, this was the incident that sparked off the whole thinking about bystander, why people don't help when they are supposed to, or not supposed to, but they could help. In this incident, 37 people saw a murder taking place, and they decided none of the 37 responded to intervene in this thing taking place. Yeah, certainly not carrying grocery bags, but risky, very high risk, right? Because it's a murder taking place, right? Attempted murder taking place, and they didn't call the police. So out of that came up a way. Many people started wondering, why is it that people don't help when there's an opportunity to do so? So you see that these researchers since the 1970s. So what I'm going to present actually is I would say is an issue or a problem that has been around since 1970s, 50 years ago. People are already thinking about this. It's not a new thing. It is not a plastic bag thing. It is not a stuck under a lorry kind of thing. It is something that people have been thinking about for 50, 60 years already. Why is it the case that when help can be rendered, people don't render help? And we found, and those things that were what you see on stage is something that we are still talking about today and applying today. People don't help because sometimes they never see. They never notice the problem at all. Yeah, I give you an example very quickly. So say you're walking along Orchard Road, and then you see a guy and a girl seemingly in some sort of quarrel or argument. Yeah, and then you see the guy slap the person. Right? Okay. Firstly, maybe some people just walk past, they never see. It's in their blind side, opposite the road. If they never see, of course, won't help, right? It could be also the case that some people see and then, do I help? Is it my place to help? Do I step in? Is that kaypoh? All these questions come into our heads, right? Yeah, and then we wonder, what if it's just a domestic quarrel? Should I intervene? What if the lady says, you are so kaypoh, or the guy comes at, so all these things that happen, yeah, and it makes us hesitate to step in. Some don't see it as a problem. Some think that somebody else may help, okay? Some want to help, but what can I do? I don't know what to do, okay? And then finally, they make a decision not to help. I'll lay that in. Don't stress. I'll just layer that in with a little bit of psychology, okay? All the things that we are talking about is about bystander. Yeah? And in the research and the thinking that's been done, sometimes bystander meaning that you see something but you don't help. All right, people choose not to help. It's because of things like this. Pluralistic ignorance. What this means is basically, I see something happening, maybe a quarrel or dispute on the Orchard Road, and I'm wondering, I'm looking around, nobody seems to respond. Then how come I'm the only one? Should I respond? If nobody else is responding, then in other words, I look at the queue of everybody else. And everybody else actually looking at everybody else to see whether anybody will respond. That's pluralistic ignorance. So we're looking at each other, and then we decide, if they never move, then I don't move also. That's pluralistic ignorance. Diffusion of responsibility basically says that, there are so many people here, surely why must it be me? Surely somebody else will respond. We see who will respond first. In other words, the responsibility, we spread it across other people. Yeah? And the third one is evaluation apprehension. This one, I think most of us may have experienced some of this also. We want to help, but we think, what if I help? The person say, why are you so kaypoh? Right? You want to help, but then the person said, none of your business. Or if I want to help, and then other people look at me and say, this fella, what has he got to do with him? Yeah? And then we evaluate what it means to ourselves, and that makes people hesitate also. So these are the things mechanisms that happen, and like I said, these are things that have been studied and thought about since 1970. I think when we talk about, I understand that all of you are trainers here. I think maybe in your earlier experiences also, or as you are training people in the skills, these are some of the things that people will think through also. Human nature. It's not a today problem, it's not a 1970s problem. It's a human nature issue. And I'm pretty sure that as you are conducting your training, some of your trainees are also thinking, should I help? Very paiseh, What if other people say I'm very kaypoh, right? Do I step in? Do I look at other people? Nobody else respond. Why should I be the one who take the first step? These are all the thought processes that will, not me, not see how. It will occur in their heads. And then as trainers, how do we plug this out and help them to understand you will be thinking about these things, but how do we take the next step? All right? Have I lost anybody? So far, okay, huh? So I won't go into so much detail in this because I think most of you, in fact, all of you will be very familiar with this, right? SCDF, MyResponder app, MRA. Yeah, and I think very clearly, it was also mentioned this morning's GOH message about what emergency response mobile apps like this do. Yeah, provides information, tells you what to do, how to help, so on and so forth, and provides alerts for people who need help as well. There are a lot of apps. Anyhow, Google, also App Store, you will find a lot of these apps. Of course, Singapore's context is the SCDF MyResponder app. Okay? I think I'm speaking to people who are the converted and who are very familiar with some of these numbers and figures here, right? 2,500, SAFA, OHCA's survival rate is poor. First few minutes are critical. Yeah. So what the MyResponder app does is that it will send out, if you have the, I feel like, I'm sure you already know, it will ping to you and then you respond if you are in the vicinity. Yeah. When this app came out, and it was, people were invited to download, there were downloads. What we found when we were talking to our SCDF colleagues was this: as much as there were so many downloads, the response rate was not that great. When we started out, it was about 20%. Today, the most recent figure we have, 2019, the response rate is about 1/3. Yeah? What does this mean? It means that the people in the vicinity will receive a ping, but only 20 to 35% would actually respond, meaning that the remaining, for whatever reasons, choose not to respond. Yeah? And we were curious about this. We were wondering, why like that? How come? Can we do anything differently? How can we increase the response rate when people receive a ping? So we wanted to study this, SCDF and ourselves. And the question was this: what motivates people? Why would people decide to respond, right? And also, why would people decide not to respond? What will be those factors, reasons why they say, not today, not for me, I won't do it, or today I'm not going to respond? What were those reasons? And if those reasons we can distill, then how can we then do things differently? So maybe as much as I'm talking about MRA context, MyResponder app context, what I may ask all of us here is to think about what this means in your own respective context. Yeah? May or may not be in the context of MRA, but in the context of providing any additional assistance outside of MRA context. Yeah? And how can we understand motivation factors and inhibition factors? Okay? So that's all the background. We conducted focus groups, got people and asked them questions about the app. We wanted to be clear that they found the app useful, helpful, easy to follow. We asked them, hey, why did you, for those who responded, why did you respond? What were the reasons that made you, motivated you to respond? We also asked those who didn't respond, hey, why you never respond? Not in the blaming sense, but just really to help us understand how we can do this better. And then we asked them also, hey, this app, can we improve it in any other way to support you so that you can be more willing to respond? So we asked all these questions and we analyzed the findings, and this is what we found. Yeah? In terms of motivating people to respond, there are all these reasons, and I'll go into greater detail into some of them. Okay? I respond. The first, most common response is I respond because I feel ready and prepared. I feel ready and prepared. And we ask further, what do you mean by ready and prepared? Readiness is not just about skills readiness, meaning that they know and have the skills to help. As you can see from the bottom one, I'm trained. If I can help, I will help. Yeah? The can help, why not attitude, okay? So it's not just skills, because there's another part which is the mental readiness. It's the part where they say that I have the skills, but I am ready to respond when something happens. Okay, I'll do a personal check. Okay, this means that you are ready to get all these things, you must be ready. So it's the mental readiness. It's not just the skills, I think the skills part is important. It's the starting point. No skill is very hard for people to know how to help. But there's the mental aspect of it where people may have skills, but they are held back by the mental readiness. Okay, so that's one thing. I respond because I have a responsibility too. What this means is that, yeah, they feel morally obliged to respond. They will say that, yeah, it's an obligation. I am trained. I have the skills. I must be the one responding. Okay, that's a moral responsibility here. There is also occupational responsibility, meaning that some people are in a helping profession. Some of the people that we ask in this focus group are off-duty SCDF officers. Some are people who work in the helping sector, okay? And for them, it's like we are personnel. So because it is my job to help, I will help. Yeah, so there's an occupational responsibility. Then for a group also, they say, hey, sense of guilt, you know, if I don't help, I will feel bad. So I better help, yeah, because I don't want to feel that not so nice feelings of guilt if I don't help, yeah. I respond because I can contribute. And this group of people were saying that actually I can contribute not just in providing the CPR or, I was about to say CPF, yeah, CPR or AED, you know. Some of them, they are not sure, but they feel that I can still go there and I can help in other ways, right? So they feel that I can help in other ways. If I can be of any help, I will still respond, yeah? So these are the reasons, 3 reasons, at least for those who are motivated to respond, or rather it motivates people to respond. I help because I'm ready. I help because I can contribute. And I help because I have an obligation, I have a responsibility to do so. Okay, so this is the easy part. What about the parts that people don't respond to the My Responder app? So these were some of the findings we found out. Yeah? So we asked a little bit further, what are some of those reasons? And this part, maybe I will go a little bit slower so that we can fully grasp what we are trying to say. And again, the question for us is, how do we apply it into our own training context? What are we saying beyond teaching them the skills? Yeah, okay? Some people said, actually most people said, I didn't respond because I felt unsure. I was unsure of my skills. Okay, so that's where the skills is important, right? But sometimes it will be things like other information such as I'm unsure of case. I don't know whether it will be a serious case or not. Yeah, I don't know what will it look like. I don't know what type of help is needed, and therefore I didn't respond. Yeah, and a lot of these are just things that play out in the head, right? It plays out in the head. They're not even there yet. They're just thinking, yeah, I don't know, I don't know what it look like. Will it be very? I don't go lah. Yeah. Of course, there will be some that will be more almost logistical kind of thing, right? I'm unsure of the location. I don't know where is it. Place very complicated. I have to take leave. All this very far, So I decide not to help at the point in time. Yeah. But the point here, I think, the more salient point is the point about people not responding because they are unsure of the skills. They feel that they don't have the right skills. They feel that they cannot remember what to do, or they know but just feel not confident about it. So again, what does it mean for us in our training? I think the training of the skills, to some extent, is quite a standardized part, right? There's a standardized way about it. But the internal mental processes are the part that we need to get them to think differently about. This one, second most common reason was I didn't respond because I was not available. Okay, I was tired. I was busy with something else. This one is really bo pian. I'm in the middle of a test. Then you get a ping, bo pian. That one is bo pian, of course, right? Yeah. Okay, but there are other reasons that people may give for not being available, and I think that is understandable, right? That is understandable. The third most common reason was I didn't respond because I don't see the point. So this was something that was we found it kind of curious, right? You're trained, you're trained, you sign up for MRA to be on the MRA to receive pings, but I don't see the point of doing that. Because I feel that, and this was something, the top part, I have faith in the SCDF, right? So I think SCDF can do the job, then I don't have to do anything, yeah? Okay, they will respond in due time. I will have, by the time I've gotten there, SCDF will have responded already. Okay. Some felt that my role is not important. Yeah, I'm not on duty. Not the key role. The other people, SCDF, will be playing the key role, and I'm just playing a supportive role. Yeah. Sometimes you go there, you're not needed at all. Then, feel one kind, right? I feel one kind. Okay, so these are some of the reasons that are barriers for them. Of course, in terms of barriers, there are many other barriers, as you saw in the pie chart. There were some that didn't respond because not convenient. Yeah, after I go, wow, sweaty again. They had to change and bathe and whatever. So inconvenient. Some responded, and this was some of the points that were picked up earlier by the earlier speeches, right? That it was traumatizing. It's traumatizing to respond to some of these things. Yeah. And so they feel that, hey, nobody took care of me. I take care of the other people, but nobody take care of me. And that is something that holds me back from wanting to help others in future again. So again, as trainers, what does it mean for us when we are conducting those training skills? We are training the skills, right? But the internal thought, some of these maybe it's like, why should I do this at that point in time? And how can we then already address them, what we call peacetime? Don't wait until crisis time and then, critical time, and then they start having those thoughts, and then we start to talk them through. These are things that you have to do in peacetime, right? When nothing has happened, and we are talking through to tell them, look, you may experience these thoughts. You may be thinking to yourself that, hey, I don't feel ready. You may be thinking to yourself that, alamak, this is going to be a waste of my time, right? And I don't know, yeah? And in our training of skills, it's also telling them, you may feel this, but how can you think about it differently so that you are ready to respond when you get a ping? There are also some who say, I was afraid of being held liable, right? And I think some of us may have heard of this or may have thought about this also when you started out. Okay, some who feel that, what if I do the chest compression too hard, injure people, stuff like that, yeah? Or, person of the opposite sex, and then get all sorts of, stuff like that. So these are thoughts. Whether it will happen or not, they are thoughts. And how do we address them up front during peacetime before anything happens? Yeah. So these are some of the barriers. Then the question is, how can we reduce the barriers in helping? And I'm coming quite quickly to the end of my talk. We thought about it. If there are these reasons for helping, and there are these reasons that prevent helping, then can we do anything differently? So these are some of the things that we thought about, and we said, hey, maybe if helping, because people are not resistant, people are afraid to help because they feel they are unsure of their skills. How can we simplify the process of helping and responding? What SCDF did following this study was that with MRA now, the My Responder app, the community first responders can get in touch with SCDF personnel, operators, right? And the operators, if the person feels unsure, the operator will talk them through. It's the same. If anybody calls 995 now, the operator will also tell them, other than taking the information, they will also tell them instructions to follow. Can you do this? Can you put out the fire? Can you pour water down the chute? So don't wait for a fire engine or ambulance to come first. Can you do something first? Yeah. So what SCDF is doing is breaking it down into small steps. So the question is, how do we break down complicated steps? If we assess our steps to be somewhat complicated, how do we break it down into simpler steps? How can you use aids in training? Yeah. So you Spotify, there are plenty of song lists that help people to make sure that you have a steady compression rate, right? Yeah. Some of those song titles there, maybe you already do that in your training, right? When you teach people, instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and all, you're telling them, ha, 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 staying alive, right? Yeah, okay, the songs are there. If it helps, if you don't know the lyrics, then right? Okay, but anyway. The second thing is, okay, we can break down things simply. But for those who are hesitant, even though they know what to do, how can we increase the awareness of importance of helping? How can we strengthen the narratives of mobilizing? How can we impress upon them that their helping behavior is critical? Yeah? How can we, so what SCDF has done is, following some of these inputs from the study, they have introduced some of these content, narratives to help people understand that, look, when you are responding, you're helping to save a life. Yeah? And it's helping and making it known that these are things that are happening and how they are being recognized for their efforts. Another way of increasing awareness or helping is to emphasize the importance of intervening in the first few critical moments, right? Yeah. So these are things that, again, if you look through SCDF's material to encourage people to join as MRA responders, they have all this information just to impress upon the point that if you are hesitating, and we have, MOS has said earlier, the few minutes of hesitation, that few seconds may be a split-second thing that changes outcomes, right? We are making it clear in the material that, look, there is a reason why we need you to respond quickly. There is a purpose, there's a call here. Yeah. We've helped first, the third bullet there, we help first responders see that they can still contribute. Yeah, so we put out material, SCDF puts out material to make it clear that, look, even if you feel that you are not sure, you can still help in other ways, right? Don't let the fear or concern that I don't know whether I can help or not hinder a person from responding, yeah? And the third point that was mentioned, because of the potential trauma, the potential psychological harm that first responders may occur to them because they are responding. One of the learning points is how can we see to the well-being of the responders as well. So if you look at the MRA app nowadays, there is a well-being checklist, meaning the person has responded, and then there is a checklist for the person to check off to make sure that the person is okay, or whether other resources is needed for the person. You need to take care of the person, so that if the person needs assistance or support after that, we can inoculate them and get them ready for the next one, so that it will not be a barrier for them to not render help. I've come to conclusion. Two more slides, that's all. Just hang on there, okay? 2 more slides. The first thing is this. We talk about the motivators and inhibitors. I think the immediate response is to look at, why people don't help, and then I target those areas. But I think the point is also that we need to understand why people help, and then we emphasize those also. I think our bias would be to, why you don't help? How can I make you help better? But let's not forget the other part also. So that's in the messages that we do in our training, in our paraphernalia, and our comms material. If I can break it down into super simple, this is super simple, yeah? But of course, in reality, execution is always a little bit more nuanced and more challenging. But the ideas are this. If don't know, we train and educate, right? That's the first level. If a person say, I don't know what to do, I train you. But I think that is my view, that is the easier part. Why I say easier? Not to minimize the challenges of teaching CPR skills. But I'm trying to say that these are structured. The next few steps are where the mind starts to play, right? If the person don't know, never mind, can train and educate. But if they learn already and they are still unsure, then that's where we may be able to simplify steps, provide teaching aids. If they are uncertain what to expect, meaning that they know they are ready, but they feel like, I don't want to respond because I don't know, very bloody, or whatever reason, yeah? How can we help them to rehearse? I think MOS also mentioned that. How do we help people to rehearse, to anticipate what will happen? So that when it happens, it's not a surprise. Yeah? And all these things have to happen peacetime, not crisis time, peacetime. Mentally rehearse. What do I do? Step 1, step 2, stuff like that. Assure them. If they are sure, they know their skills, they know that they have a duty or whatever, but they are still unwilling. So there could be a reason, that there could be a proportion of people who just don't want to help, right? Then we need to reinforce the mission. why is this important? Why is this critical? Yeah. Again, I say that in the course of you training your trainees, how can we supplement some of this mission critical thinking in them? That their job actually is critical and important. Yeah. If distressed, then support them after that. And then if they are ready and willing and responding, we must remember to honor and celebrate their efforts as well. Okay? So I think that should be my closing, right? This was one of the quotes from the people who took part in the study that we're conducting. Yeah? You cannot save 100. Can save 10. Even if it's 1 or 2, it's already a win. And then I think these are the messages we need to tell people. You don't have to save the world. You don't have to save the world. You don't have to, your skill doesn't have to be 100% perfect, executed perfectly before you respond. No need. Yeah? You just need to do enough to help this person have a better than fighting chance of making it. And that is a win already. Yeah? Okay? So that's the end of my presentation. Just want to acknowledge my colleagues and as well as SCDF colleagues. The QR code, like I said, is the paper. The paper has a bit more detail. This what I have shared with you is sort of like almost a summarized version or the key points version of it. Yeah, okay. With that will be the end of my sharing this morning. Yeah, thank you.